let's do this. Yeah, so hold on, give me a sec. I'll just make it full screen.
Can I just quick flick?
Oh, no. Cool. Okay, stop speaking. Patience.
Is that ready to go? Hello, thank you for joining our webinar. My name is Shazia and I'm the Senior Immigration Advisor for Man Solutions. Today we're going to be looking at the Tier 1 entrepreneur route, the visa to the UK. The requirements under this category are that you have to have not less than £200,000 access and that the money is held in one or more regulated financial institutions. The money needs to be disposable in the UK. You must fulfill the English language requirements, that is evidence to prove that you speak English to the required standard and meet the requirements. There is also a maintenance provision, which means that there has to be a certain amount of funds to support yourself and any dependents in the UK. This is approximately at £3,310 at this time. All Tier 1 entrepreneur migrants making an initial application are subject to a genuine entrepreneur test. The alternative requirement is that you have access to £50,000, and that must be from one or more registered venture capital firms regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. But please note that this is not available to all applicants. Or the £50,000 must be from one or more UK entrepreneurial seed funding competition, which is listed as endorsed on the Department for International Trade, known as the DIT. Or from one or more UK government departments or devolved government departments in Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. And it must be made available by the departments for the specific purpose of establishing or expanding a UK business under a Tier 1 entrepreneur visa. So looking at the basics, you can make the application under this category either from the overseas post that you are a national of, or you can switch in country from another category that allows you the flexibility to do so, which this means that if you're already in the UK as either a Tier 1 general migrant, a Tier 1 investor, you're on the Tier 1 graduate entrepreneur visa, as a highly skilled migrant program, however, that's been withdrawn, a Tier 2 migrant, or a visitor who has been carrying out permitted activities such as a prospective entrepreneur. You can also switch from one of the following categories if you have specific types of funding. So that could be under the Tier 1 general visa, Tier 1 post-study worker, a Tier 4. But this means you can apply if you have access to £50,000 in investment funds from one or more of the following. As I said before, that should be money of £50,000 from a UK entrepreneurial seed funding competition endorsed by the DIT, a UK government department making funds available for the purpose of setting up or expanding a UK business, or a venture capital firm registered with the Financial Conduct Authority. You can also apply if you've already invested £50,000 in a UK business, but you must have invested the funds less than 12 months before you apply. Now, although there is flexibility under this route, there are many common factors which increase the risk of a refusal for this type of application, of which I mention here. The Home Office are clear that they require applicants to follow the Tier 1 application process in accordance with their policy, and often this is not followed by the applicant. There is a failure to present documents exactly as the rules stipulate in terms of format and type of information required by the Home Office. Documentation are not in the acceptable form of evidence. There is a failure to submit originals of the supporting evidences required or omission of officially certified acceptable copies. Sometimes there are weaknesses in required business plans, which means that there's a failure in convincing the Home Office that your business idea is viable and will be successful, justifying your entry clearance to the UK. Sometimes, often applicants fail Home Office interviews. So where applicants should expect to be questioned on their business case and applications, but aren't able to express themselves or explain their circumstances more fully, perhaps due to the time allowance of such interviews or due to the caseworkers following a specific format of questioning, can often make things go wrong when it comes to the Home Office interview. And sometimes there is the inability to satisfy the strict eligibility criteria, which is also critical to the application. The conditions around funds, for example, must be fully met. For example, minimum fund threshold for investment and for maintenance purposes, which must be held within regulated financial institutions and proven with acceptable forms of evidence. And they should also be held for 90 days before making the actual application. There is also the requirement of the genuine entrepreneur test, which was introduced in January 2013. And that has actually caused some escalation in refusals of Tier 1 entrepreneur visas. In the current times, until an attainable solution is found, it is deemed to be considered that the Home Office caseworkers considering Tier 1 entrepreneur applications have the requisite expertise to judge the future success of a business venture. In light of this routine problem, it is therefore pertinent to ensure that you understand your business idea, business plan, and be well informed about presenting your business idea and its viability with full confidence at the point of deciding to apply as a Tier 1 entrepreneur. Everybody must understand that a fully prepared application minimizes the risk of refusal. So just as a recap, I'd just like to go through some of the common things that are normally used in deciding applications. So your funds should be freely available to you for your disposal and not in the form of assets. You must be able to make evident the source of your funds. So where has the money come from? The business funds for £200,000 or £50,000 should be separate from the amount of the maintenance requirement. So, for instance, if you have £200,000 for your Tier 1 entrepreneur funds for the business, your maintenance amount of £3,310 should be separate. You cannot show the £3,310 in the £200,000 investment fund. That also applies to the £50,000 fund. You must be in a position to submit all your originals of the supporting documents that you provide, or they must be in specified acceptable certified documents. So sometimes where you have certain documentation which you only have an original document that you will not get a copy of, you should be able to get them certified, but it has to be in a specific format type where the Home Office would accept this. You must also consider to ensure that your chosen business will sustain in the UK. It will be attractive to the UK economy, and your business plan is well documented and detailed. So when we say a business plan must be well documented and detailed, the kind of information that is required, which again has to be subheaded and then detailed individually about how you're going to, for instance, where the business premises are going to be, the type of business you expect to run, the kind of experience that you've had, which means that you will be able to successfully run this business, the kind of turnover that you will anticipate in the next 5 years. These are the kind of things that you should document in the business plan. It must all be obviously viable. It must also be consistent for the type of funds that you have. I can see that we've got various questions coming through from several participants, some of which we would email back in response, and some we can look at answering the questions here. So when we say format of specific type of documents, a question is being asked, what do we mean by this? What we mean by this is, for instance, a specific bank letter. So that is a specified document, the specified details that have to be contained in the bank letter. For example, if you're holding £200,000 in an overseas bank account, it must be regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. It must be disposable to you, and the funds should be showing as £200,000 from a very recent date. So for example, if you are looking to make an application on the 22nd of December, the funds must be held for the past 90 days. There should be a balance of £200,000. The bank must confirm this. So the bank letter itself must have the official company logo. It must detail the account holder. It must detail the account number. It must show the balance of the funds as of, for instance, today's date, how long that money's been held for in that account. That specified document, the bank letter, should also specify if that money is available freely for you to dispose anywhere that you want. We have a question about the maintenance requirements. So as I said before, the maintenance requirements is of £3,310 at this time. That must be shown. It can be shown in the same account. That's not an issue. Or it can be shown in a separate account. But the money, that fund should be held for 90 days consecutively in that account. And ideally, you would want to produce 6 months worth of bank statements if your funds are kept separately as well. That's your maintenance funds. There is a specified format that can show, the bank statements itself will be able to show and make evident that you have this money held and how long that money has been held for as well. But do bear in mind, the Home Office update their fees, they update certain policies and provisions within certain immigration rules to change, amend the maintenance requirement, the English requirement, as well as any other requirements in terms of the specified documents. So it's really, really important that you make sure that you give your application the best chances of success. You need to try and avoid any risk of refusal. So you're looking at how you have to show the money that you have the funds. That has to be in specified format. Your business plan must be well prepared. It must detail everything from the point of where the money is going to be spent, how you're going to be spending that money in terms of what the initial startup costs are going to involve, where your business premises are going to be. If you have a temporary business, if you have a temporary premises, you must show that you have an intention to set up in an area of, say, for instance, London, Manchester, Birmingham, why you look at those areas, why you think your business is going to be viable in an area like Birmingham or Manchester or London, for instance. Sometimes some people like to choose slightly different areas because of the high costs that are in London. But if your business is most likely going to succeed and it looks like it's going to succeed within the London area, it is better for you to consider to deal with the immediate costs, even if they are a little bit high, to show that your business will sustain in the long run in the London area because of X, Y, and Z reasons. It could be that there is there is a bigger market for you, or if you're a niche market, or your business is going to be a niche type of business, there are specific types of people that will engage and deal with your business. These are the kind of things that you need to consider for yourself. And of course, the genuine entrepreneur test it sounds very simple, but from previous experience and from feedback that we've had from our other clients, it can be quite daunting. That's why it's so important for you to be very, very well prepared. Although there are some very simple questions and some very obvious questions, the caseworker from the Home Office department who interviews you might have some set questions for you. You could be thrown in some other questions that perhaps might not seem relative to the business plan or to the visa application itself, but it's important that you understand your own circumstances fully and your business's circumstances fully. Of course, when you come to making a further leave to remain application under Tier 1 entrepreneur, there are various other requirements that have to be met. So you have to be able to think not just for the initial application, but in the long run about your business, how it's going to sustain itself. Are the funds going to be enough? Are you going to be able to generate realistically more funds for any liabilities or any shortfalls? Are you going to be able to recruit people, employees, I should say, for your business? So really, from the initial application that you make, ticking all the boxes, it is always a good idea to make sure that you're looking a little bit further down the line as well when it comes to making a further leave to remain application under this route. As I said before, we have several questions coming through, but we will answer those questions individually. But I would like to thank you for attending our webinar, and we hope that we've given you a well-informed insight into the Tier 1 entrepreneur visa category. If you would like to consider applying under this category, or you would like to discuss this further, you can get in touch with us by phone on 0207 99 36346, or you can email us at enquiries@mans-solutions.com. Once again, I'd like to thank you very much for participating in our webinar under the Tier 1 Entrepreneur Visa route, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thank you.